So this is where I stand. I feel stuck and hidden. I know I don't have much time, so I've got to get to it. All right, so the resurrection of Panicum barbipulvinatum, what is that? Who in here has ever heard of this? I hadn't either. So last year, so really what I started, so last year I decided to start working on grasses of Indiana and just randomly decided to pick panicums. Went down, started in Butler and just started going through panicums, going through especially the capillary complex. That's where I wanted to start. And so in that we have things like Panicum capillary, Panicum flexile. You can read them. I'm going to name them anyway. Gattengeri. I can't. That one kills me. Philadelphicum and Tuckermanii. Tuckermanii is still questionable. Some botanists don't recognize it. I currently think it's a good species. As I'm progressing through these, I think I'll have a better understanding of that specifically. But oftentimes these two are looked at as just a subspecies of Philadelphicum. So I started going through these panicums, looking through them, and there was one that kind of stood out to me as a little bit different, and it was put into the Panicum capillaries. And the University of Michigan Herbarium is where it really came out. And as I'm pulling it out and looking at them, I realized that there was something else that didn't fit. I pulled all of these out and they all looked different. It didn't fit within capillary at all. The spikelets were very different. And wasn't sure what to call it. I asked some botanists that were with me and they weren't sure what to call it. And so I got into the literature and found that there was this thing called Panicum barbipulvinatum that was named in the late 19th century. It was in Hitchcock and Chase's, or was it just Chase, that did a panicum paper, and it wasn't until like 1917 or something that it got eliminated by Fernald, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So can you all hear me okay if I don't talk just inside the mic? All right, so this is in Fernald's 1919 paper where he talks about, this was Chase. This one was Chase. And this is how they split it. Spikelets 2 to 2.2 for capillary, rarely 2.5 long. Now, if anyone look at capillary, that's really low. Those numbers don't actually fit well. Blade's not crowded toward the base. And then in barbipulvinatum, they argued the spikelets are 3 to 3.3, with rarely only 2.5. Blades usually crowded toward the base. And then Fernald looked at it later in his 1919 treatment of panicums, and he said he looked at Hitchcock and Chase's annotations, and he couldn't really tell the difference in a lot of them between Panicum capillary and Panicum barbipulvinatum, and he's like, well, maybe there is somewhat of a difference, enough to at least break it out into variety occidentalis. I looked at that isotype, and it's the same thing as what barbipulvinatum isotypes are. So these two would be considered the same thing if you look at it as a variety level. And this is his argument that it's 2.5 to 3.3 millimeters long. And then spikelet subsessile only. So when I'm looking at this, none of these really fit what I'm looking at. Maybe some pieces of it. So I drew, before I knew what it was, I drew this. This is the panicum that was in question, spikelet, and this is the spikelet of capillary. And so what we see that's really telling on this is that every one of them, the gloom here, the lower gloom, is usually above half to above half of the spikelet. It's barbipulvinate, that's the name. It's got these trichomes going all the way up the center of that lower gloom. And now take a look at the upper gloom in the sterolemma in the height. So the height this is usually about equal, give or take a little bit of pull on that height. Look at the difference between the upper lemma or the lower lemma and the upper gloom. There's up to 0.3 to 0.5 millimeters in length on those. And that's a lot. And then look at the size difference, averaging about 3.4, some up to 3.8 millimeters long. And I've not yet seen a capillary that pushes over 3. Now, looking at more specimens, it was usually about 3.2 at all the specimens for barbipulvinatum. I found a handful maybe, that fit as low as 3. but I've not seen any under 3. And again, with capillary, I think 3 is kind of a good cutoff. So we see a size difference and we see a morphological difference. When it comes to and here's a actual picture of the two. And you can see, this one's still in flower, so it's not as poofy and robust and round as you can see. But you can see I'm gonna fall on this thing and hurt myself. You can see the glooms. Maybe, where's one that you can see? Look how long and narrow this gloom is. And I thought I had a better picture up here to show it. But look at the difference here in the height as well. And this is, besides just the size, it's consistent with that look in the overlap. Now the curious thing is in all the treatments of this is more of a western species. It's much more common out west. And it kind of just, so far the records show that it just follows along the Great Lakes. So less than 10% of what I've looked at about 500 specimens, all from Midwestern herbariums. All of them, it seems to be just isolated around the Great Lakes with a few random spots along like interstates where there's new development or in developmental areas. They're both annuals, they're both weedy, but so far morphologically speaking, the spikelets really show that there is a difference here. And so that lower gloom, again, we talked about this, in capillary seems to be about 1/3 to 1/2 of the spikelet, and few short bristles along the midvein, slightly acuminate. The lower gloom on Barbapulvinatum so far has appeared to be 1/2 plus of the spikelet. The spikelet length with bristles running all up, as we talked about, and it's got that relatively long attenuate. That did not come out right. Attenuate. Thank you. That's why we need Nick in this to help me. Attenuate gloom, and it's running all the way to the tip. We also see the upper gloom is usually less than or equal to the sterolemma, give or take a little bit. Oftentimes the sterolemma is slightly shorter, and then as we saw, that upper gloom far surpasses the sterolemma by 0.3 to 0.5. It is 0.3 to 0.5 millimeters. And then lastly, the spikelets are usually 2.2 to 2.8 millimeters long, up to 2.9, especially, and it's funny because I looked at Hitchcock and Chase annotated specimens, and I looked at Fernald specimens, some of it, and they got them all over the place. There's some capillary they call Barbapulvinatum, some Barbapulvinatum looking things that they called capillary. So there clearly wasn't an understanding of this species yet. And the spikelet is 3 and 3.5 plus. So there's a size difference, there's a shape difference. And when we start looking at I didn't find much difference yet in the leaf structures or the hair. So is it a good species? So I have yet to see any intermediates. So I would say so far, and I've still got a lot of specimens, a lot of herbariums to go to and to look for, but currently I have seen no reason not to believe that Panicum barbapulvinatum should be a good species in and of itself, and not Variety occidentale. In that, any questions? Yeah?
What do you find along the Great Lakes?
Just the coast, just the sand, usually disturbed areas like Gary on roadsides, up by the lake. I've seen it in slag flats. Nature preserves the sand. You just collected one.
It was in a mud flat in a swale in Clark and Pine Nature Preserve, yeah.
And the only Minnesota specimen that I saw was actually an old specimen where a university was built. So it could have been sand put in. I did find it in Marshall County, Michigan, along the interstate where they just put fresh sand down. So I don't know where they got that. It could have been anywhere. But just looking so far at the distribution, literally just follows the lakes all the way up and around. I haven't looked at anything from Ohio or out. I haven't found anything out east farther than Indiana or Michigan yet. But we'll see. But predominantly, it's more common as a western species. So I'm hoping to collaborate with a botanist out west who can look at and start kind of helping, because even a lot of the numbers out there are really not accurate to capillary. It's all over the place. And it's because I don't think we have a good understanding of this. And I think there's other cryptic species within the capillary complex too. I'm just not ready to pull those out yet. So, any other questions? Cool, thank you.